When I got into cake artistry, it was only for the design aspect of it, not for the joy of baking or creating new recipes or getting into pastries, but because I was always a creative, that's just something that I was drawn to, and that kind of grew from me being so creative and different. My mom got married to a pastor. My stepdad was a pastor at Pentecostal church. He didn't believe in anybody going to college. Our only goal was to prepare for Jesus' return. And it's almost like you're taking something, you're like looking for joy. So that joy came from bringing joy to others. So I'd start just taking cupcakes and stuff to work. And sometimes when you're making people happy, it like kind of gives you a sense of some sort of worth.
Did you ever love baking at the time? Like,
No,
no,
not really.
It was just the joy that it brought.
Yeah. And I just got up one morning and I said, I gotta quit. Because I had to like seriously think, do I want to be sitting behind a desk for the rest of my life to a place where I don't even like? Or I really want to give 100% to my creativity.
All right, welcome to the new episode of the Myles podcast. It's Myles Q and I'm your host, and as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist, always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right, so I got a good, for me, a good exciting podcast. I love when I get to talk to entrepreneurs and people in business. Sitting down with an incredible entrepreneur whose story and journey is just as layered as the cakes that she bakes. I want to welcome Miss Jessica Wilson to the pod. Let's clap her up.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, Mike. Thank you for coming. I you're very well known in the Bahamas. So let's go for starters. So you consider yourself a cake designer, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily a like pastry chef or whatever. So let's start there. Why the differentiation between cake designer and pastry chef?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I consider myself more like a cake designer, cake artist, because
Cake artist, yes.
yeah, it could be either or the same thing. It's just not pastry chef.
Got you.
Because when I got into cake artistry, it was only for the design aspect of it, not for the joy of baking or creating new recipes or getting into pastries, but because I was always a creative, that's just something that I was drawn to, and that kind of grew from me being so creative and different. Because if you see people here take a bite, it's not even about what type of pastry I can do. It's about the designs of the cakes and how the stuff looks and how well I present it, because it's actually coming from an artist. Yeah.
So let's talk about your creativity, right? Because you, as you say, you got started from being a creative. So you were a sketch artist. You drew a lot when you were young.
Yeah.
You got that talent from like your parents, or was it just something that you developed over the years?
I think it's something I developed. Like, there was one time, and that's even a core memory for me, just looking at my mommy, like, because I used to draw on the wall so much. So what she did was she would bring back these big packs of paper home from work and just give me my pencils and stuff and pens, and I'll draw on every single paper.
And you just always loved drawing.
Yeah, always loved drawing. So even going into high school, that was my favorite class. Coming out of high school, that's what I did for a hobby, drawing all the time or painting. And even going into corporate world, I was commissioned portraits
Okay.
of people. So that's how I spent my
All right. So
downtime.
let's not move too fast. Let's go back to childhood, right? So you grew up on an island, right? Which
Long Island.
Long Island. Okay. How was that? How was that experience compared to? I don't know if you could compare it to anything, but if you had to imagine what growing up in Nassau, the capital, would have been? Because you're still Bahamian, right? Just a different island. You were born and raised in Long Island.
This leads to that. I gotta correct you on that.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go then. Go ahead.
So I was born in
Okay,
Nassau.
born in Nassau.
Okay,
right?
I spent most of my childhood between the age of probably 3 and 6, if I can recall, in Chicago,
Oh, wow. Okay.
because I was always in a hospital. I had corrective surgery to my legs, so I could walk today.
You said
Corrective surgery
that's why you couldn't.
to my legs. Yeah.
You said that's why you could walk today.
Walk today.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
Then from there, went back came in Nassau, and my mommy decided to move to Long Island when I was 9.
Oh, okay. So you're not from Long Island.
No, so Nassau was still an island at that time, though,
Not
during that
Long
age.
Island no more.
Still an island. There were no murders. I think
Gotcha.
there was like one murder a year, if I could recall, if that much. And it was one murder a year. That was the biggest news.
Yep.
Moved to Long Island. So Long Island is still basically all I knew. Because like I said, I spent most of my time in the hospital during my childhood. Moved to Long Island and moved back to Nassau when I was 22. Now, with the island so peaceful, you feel like you could live there until you're 200. If I was to compare it to Nassau, because when I moved back to Nassau, I was 22, I absolutely hated this place.
Too busy.
My skin broke out in hives and all. I thought the people were so mean, because I am still sweet, but I was super, super sweet
Yeah.
and quiet and very timid. So getting used to the people over here at the time, it kind of made me grow the thick skin that I have now.
You think some
And
people that different?
developed my personality.
You think they like
Yes.
more ruder than?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, when I first came Nassau at
Even
20,
back then though, because I feel like
I'm gonna
Bahamians
tell you
still
what I remember.
Bahamians still polite.
let me tell you how polite island people are, though.
Okay.
We will be driving down the road, and every car we pass, we are
That's
hailing
true.
them.
Other people say everyone.
Do you know how long it took me to break out of that habit when I moved to Nassau? I was going crazy.
People thought
I
you was
was like,
crazy. Yeah.
I hailing everybody.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you.
And
Different
I was
culture.
like, these people crazy over
Yeah.
here. Even when it came to getting used to my new co-workers and stuff, they never understood why I was so quiet. I was quiet because I thought that y'all was so mean. And I was like, I am not gonna get involved with some of these people there. But I eventually broke out of that and
you start
warmed up
becoming
to
mean?
everybody.
Or they
I still
start-
got burned a couple of times because they were
Gotcha.
too trusting sometimes, and then I had to, like I said, NASA helped develop the personality that I have now.
Sure. All right. So you spent most of your adolescence on the island
Yeah.
and teenage years. So where did I guess you developed or cultivated your artistic ability
From high school.
through high school and
Yeah,
all
through
of
high
that.
school, yeah.
So once you, I guess, graduated high school, why not like a job or profession in like art?
Boy, you uncovering some layers today before I could write a book. I grew up in a hyper-religious house. Okay? My mom got married to a pastor. My stepdad was a pastor of Pentecostal church. He didn't believe in anybody going to college. Our
Really?
only goal was to prepare for Jesus' return. You're laughing. I'm dead.
Wow.
I shut the whole thing on.
Oh man, wow.
I need you to understand. That is why
So
we didn't go off to college, because there was no purpose for that when I was growing up. Okay? Now, I don't know if it's God's doing, but he died when I was...
I was hoping you didn't say that. But got you. Go. Oh man.
Because he was in my life from when I was 10, and that's all I knew growing up, and that was the father figure I had. Okay? And he died when I was 18 because I graduated when I was 16. He was already very sick. He had a stroke, so he couldn't walk because he didn't believe in going to doctors. He only believed in God healing him.
Wow.
Okay? Um, and the police had to come and demand that he go to the doctor
Wow.
because my mommy was like, "You have to get him to get out of here." But he ended up dying because all his organs ended up failing. And even with him being sick, his uncle came in our house and he was casting oils and all that, saying that we brought the demons into the house
Wow.
and why he was sick. I need you to understand how hyper religious my home was.
Yeah, yeah.
So growing up like that, and then after he died, and then my Uncle Henry died, it was like, were they all lying? Now, mind you, I still have a deep love for God. I definitely believe in God and all that. But I just didn't think that was right at the time. When he died, I had to go straight into work. So I was working when I was 17 because my mommy still had bills to pay. I worked at local government. So my art was literally only a little distraction. So I never left the island. So hopefully that answers
No,
the question.
yeah. I was making sure he was finished.
And then at the age of 18, I started working to what is now called BPL.
So during those early years, right? So you graduate high school at 16. You moved to Nassau, you said when you were 18?
22.
Or 22. So between 16 and 22, working, finding a job and working, how did you cultivate that artistry? Like, was it just something you did on the side strictly? Like, not, you wasn't like, so it was nothing where you
on
were.
Long Island, it wouldn't be worth anything. I think I sold a piece.
That's what I mean. Like, when was the first time?
My
like,
first
you
piece
did
I
something?
sold, I'll always remember. It was such a simple drawing.
Yep.
It was a pastel painting of a woman in like a black dress. She was faceless and she just had a black dress, black background. And the only, I guess, would that be the negative space on black was her white skin.
Okay.
And that's it. And someone was like, Jessica, how much that is? I didn't even know. I was like, you want to buy this? And he was like, yeah. I say, $250. And he paid me.
Wow. How old were you at the time?
I probably was only 18. I was still young.
Did that spark anything?
I wasn't like deep into working in the at BEC yet.
Did that like spark any
No.
idea of, oh, like maybe we could do this for make
No,
sense?
not on Long Island.
Did you
It
ever?
was only our population was only 1,200 people, and I wasn't like, I want to make this into a thing. My goal at that time was just making money, so we could have some sort of a real living and stability.
And you sold any other pieces? after
Only
that?
only when I went to BEC, like with portraits of us.
So you just sold a piece at 18 and
Yeah,
just
that was
didn't even
it.
think
I
about
didn't
it?
think about it. All I did was draw for fun because I didn't look at it as something that would.
Could be a profession.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you start working for BEC at the time. Now BPL with BEC back in the day.
And I used to be right in there in that office drawing all the time.
So how did the love for, I guess it isn't a love for baking. I guess it's still art, right? But to fuse art with culinary, how did that happen?
I didn't start baking until I got into a relationship when I was 20.
Okay.
Because before that, I was also in a fitness competition. I didn't bake at all or make any cakes at all. I got in that relationship, and he was a lover of sweets at the time, and that's how I started baking.
Okay. And
So the artiness wasn't even in that yet.
So how long? So I guess what you baked for your husband,
The family,
and family,
yeah.
and all of that. Still working at BEC at the time.
Yeah.
And at some point, the shift came, or the shift happened, right? You
Yeah. Because
decided
the
to.
relationship was also so toxic.
Okay.
And there was some there was some things that would have happened that put me in a very hurtful position. And it's almost like you're taking something, you're like looking for joy. So that joy came from bringing joy to others. So I'd start just taking cupcakes and stuff to work. And sometimes when you're making people happy, it like kind of gives you a sense
Did
of
you ever love?
some sort of worth.
Did you ever love
Huh?
baking at the time, though? Like at
No,
all? No.
not
It
really.
was just the joy that it brought.
Yeah, and I'd be like, oh, I
So why
can. We
baking
should
though?
think
Because you
about the
could have,
cupcakes because it's so easy to
okay,
do.
okay,
And I had like a dessert book,
uh-huh.
so I was starting to like test out all the desserts
Recipes.
in it and
Gotcha.
just taking it to work. And I'll test out like different flavor cupcakes and stuff. And it didn't matter how good they looked, how they tasted, and they just was calling me the cupcake lady at BEC because they'll come to me every Friday looking for cupcakes until one day
Were
one of
you
my
selling? Were you selling
coworkers.
the cupcakes at the time? Just
No,
giving them out. Okay.
just give them every Friday.
Yep.
I bought sweets
Yep.
for the entire floor, basically, because I worked in credit and collections department. Until one day, one of my coworkers, his name was Dave. If Dave happened to watch this one day, hi Dave. He bought cupcakes for me. But then I don't want to skip the fact that my best friend Micah,
Right. This was the first sale.
yeah,
Right. But it wasn't cupcakes. It was
a cheesecake.
Right.
She's just testing me out with something else.
Sure. Have you made?
Something, but I don't like to make, and I still don't make cheesecake. I'll only make it like for the fun of it, but to sell, I would never.
So that was your first official sale.
My bestie,
Your best friend.
Micah, yeah.
And then the second would have been Dave.
Dave came to me one day and he was like, "Can you do this much dozen cupcakes for, I think, was it the children's hostel at the time?" So I ended up not charging for it.
Okay.
And then I went there and helped. It was a lot of BEC staff there, just helping out. And I bought the cupcakes for that event. And after that, but I still consider as a like a official order.
Yep.
Yeah. And then after that, he ordered another set of cupcakes. And then when I started selling those to him, then all my other coworkers started ordering cupcakes, but they'll like request certain things. Jessica, can you do like red velvet cheesecake cupcakes? Something that I've never done before. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. So a lot of times it's be like stressed right out trying to figure out these things.
Yep.
And then those cupcakes, it turned into, oh, we're gonna do like a Christmas sale where you get this much flavors in a dozen for this much. And I used to be overloaded with orders. And I know why.
Go ahead. Why?
Because I was underpricing.
Okay, so we getting there, right? So that's a great part of the conversation, right? But you
That's what it turned into.
You started to sell, and at that point, did you realize, okay, I have something there. I should start thinking about how I could, monetize this or turn this into a business?
You want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
No, not yet. It just became an obsession
Okay.
because it was such a big distraction. And I was also a person where I couldn't say no. So, because I feel like if I was thinking like that, I would have done much better on my pricing and the way I built out my business at that time.
But I mean, that's every.
So it was just
entrepreneur when they
really
first start.
winging it.
You're
I
just
was
thinking
winging
about
it.
Sure,
It didn't.
you're just thinking about getting the orders out, and just putting a price to it. Not
Yeah,
really,
and at the
formulating.
same time, I was in college, had my young kids. I was hyper focused on still being promoted in BEC. So I had a lot going on. I was just, instead of drawing now I was obsessed with baking cupcakes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so when did or how did the shift come to say, all right, I'm gonna leave my job with a salary and benefits and go into this hobby or this side business full time and try to make this work?
That happened, honestly, that happened when I was getting too overwhelmed with BEC.
Okay.
I had gotten really, really good over the years now because I went from cupcakes, started doing cakes, and because the artist in me.
When you first started, did they like how your everything tasted? Like the
Some people
cupcakes?
did and some people didn't.
The ones that didn't, they told you?
Yeah, sometimes.
And like how would
They
you
used to
react?
crush me.
For-
They used to crush me so bad.
Did you think how did you think they tasted though? You thought it was like
I think they tasted good to me,
okay.
But then I had to learn, like, people have different taste preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Take-A-Bite today, I still can't expect everybody to like
Okay.
my product. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some people like certain restaurants over here or certain food, and I'd be like, how?
Mm-hmm.
Popeyes?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people will, like, eat that. Like, but it's really popular. My
Sure.
kids
Sure.
love Popeyes, and I'd be like, it's so salty. So
Sure.
different tastes
Mm-hmm.
for different people.
So they would come to you and
It took a
say
long time for me to get that up
to get to what?
to that level of thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but they would come, and early on, they would come to you and be like, yes, I didn't really like
Yeah.
your.
And I still approachable to this day, but back then it
Well,
was
how did you
super
take it? Like, what was
approachable.
your immediate response? Like,
I'd be
oh,
like,
thank you for that, but
oh, okay. But do you want to try another flavor?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you just kind of moved past it. You
Yeah,
didn't
but
allow it to discourage you or
no,
stuff.
it
Okay,
wouldn't offend
okay,
me, but it would be like, how do I make this better?
got you, got
And
you.
then even with like all that comes with growing a business, so that's like almost like, growing pains too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to go through that, especially if you self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference too. Like, because I still using recipes now, what I getting from recipe books.
Mm-hmm.
Or I trying to create these are not recipes that I'm creating on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have a customer be like, oh, the cake was too moist to the point where it just crumbling everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where another customer would be like, I felt like the cake was a little dry.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'd be like, I don't like that buttercream. You don't have that sweet frosting. I prefer that.
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up
so what-
tearing you in all type of different directions.
sure. So
sometimes.
I guess it took time to perfect what your formula was for the different
Yeah.
types of cake that you made, right?
Yeah.
So when did Take a Bite? When was it born? So were you still at BC at the time,
Mhm.
and the idea was there, and you was like, okay, let me start a business and let me figure out a name for the business. That's kind of how it was.
Yeah, it had to be like my son was probably 3.
Okay. So
He's 15 now.
where did Take a Bite come from? Where did the name itself come from?
My ex, I guess. I'm being honest.
I got you.
He came up with it for sure. I gotta give him that. We were just in a car one day, and I was like, I gotta figure out the name because the first name was actually Guilty Pleasures, but I felt like it came off too much like a lingerie store. And because I was only doing cupcakes, macarons, cake pops at the time, he was like, how about take a bite? Because I say, we do bite-sized treats or whatever. I wasn't really doing cakes yet. And I was like, you know what? That's it.
So hold on, we do bite-sized treats. What was that? A
Like-
tagline or just how you described?
The
like,
tagline was a delight in every bite.
Okay, so
Yeah.
bite was in it. All right,
Mhm.
cool. So and that's still the tagline today.
I guess. I don't really have a tagline now. Just
You don't use it no more.
yeah, just take a bite.
Okay, so your ex offered the name. You ran with the name. How long were you operating while you were still employed with BC? Like how
Well, I
long were
left
you-
BC. Wow, it's been so long now. This year gonna be 11. I left BC 11 years ago. My son is 15, so like 3 years.
3. Okay.
3 years. The last 2 years, it's like it grew, and I grew so fast. I worked at BC for 10 years. Wow, it's a long time ago. Yeah.
So 3 years.
Yeah,
All right.
and that's like where I was really getting really good. Last 2 years, I was booking a lot of weddings. I was getting too busy and stressed out. I wasn't seeing my kids anymore. My job was getting harder because I was at point I was working double shifts now because BC was low on staff. I didn't have enough sick days. I didn't have enough vacation days for anything. My weekends were completely gone. I was giving my life to BC through the week and on the weekend. And I just got up one morning and I was like, I gotta quit. Because
Just like
I had
that.
to like seriously think, do I want to be sitting behind a desk for the rest of my life to a place where I don't even like? Or I really want to give 100% to
Take a
my
break.
creativity.
Got you.
Yeah.
Was that an easy decision for you?
Yeah. At the time. Because
Even-
I was always threatening them. I said, I'm going to soon leave you and just do cakes.
But even not being sure of like the income that you'd be able to generate, you still was
Yeah, that's
confident.
something, eh?
Yeah. Wasn't a
When I think
thought.
about it, yeah, that's something. I think because too, I had already grown so much clientele, and then I was getting orders every week. I was saying no to a lot as well, and I had already started buying equipment. Being at BEC for 10 years, I already had a plan for what I was going to do with the money I was paid out with when I left. I invested all of that basically in Take-A-Bite. That wasn't like a salary that held me on. I put all of that into like my big equipment. So I had a plan. That's why I worked at BEC for 10 years. So it's like, I gotta make it to 10 years so I could,
Get the payout. Yeah.
get a pay. And then
Okay.
when that 10 years did hit, I was like, you know what, let me do one more year. And then I was like, no, we're getting too much. I almost felt like I was forced out of there in a way.
From BC?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because how I was like a supervisor in the cage, and there were others that got, they were placed in other departments. The cage was like short. The cashiers were leaving, and that's why I was working double shifts.
So it was a lot.
But like if it was a regular 9 to 5.
Yeah. Wouldn't have been as
Shoot,
much
it probably
pressure.
would have. I still would have probably been working at
Yeah,
BEC.
yeah.
Who know? I don't know.
Got you.
You
Got
never
you,
know.
Got you.
But I was working double. They would put us to work. You're working from 8 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the night, and then you still have a cake to do when you get home. Imagine.
Yeah. With kids.
Yeah. And then I was like up to 200 pounds. I was like, I gotta do something about this. And my kids, they growing so fast. Like, I can't even tell you, like, a portion of life is like a complete blur.
Head down, working hard. Got you. Okay, so you made the transition. You decided to leave BEC, went head first into Take-A-Bite. What were some of your earlier challenges? So we spoke about pricing and stuff, but if you could think of some other challenges, what were they like early on?
My customer service, probably. I had to learn how to really communicate. And I had to realize that I am literally serving my customers. And I am not in a corporate environment anymore. I'm in an industry where I create. I'm serving a food product that could be heavily criticized. And what else would I say is a challenge? But that one would have stand out the most
How
back then, because I had to go through some serious growing pains. I had to learn how to really work on good customer service,
as in like how you communicate?
how I respond and communicate to customers, yeah.
What-
Or like communicate on the whole, like one struggle I still have today is responding on time. That's really important. And sometimes if you message me on Thursday, it's almost like you're gonna get a bad view of Take-A-Bite because I cannot respond until Sunday. Sometimes.
Because of busy you are.
Yeah, because the person I had responding for me, she got super busy. So it's almost like finding the perfect person like her. She's perfect to replace her now.
Okay. Any other challenges?
Definitely the pricing.
So let's talk about the pricing then. So how did you, so obviously you were in pricing out your stuff, correct? How did you decide to say, okay, let me just break this down and figure out what my costing is going to be, like what my expenses are, what I need to charge in order for me to, make this opportunity out in front of me make sense?
Okay, my first year, my first FBC, I would say that one of the wisest decisions I made was investing into my fixed assets, like my oven, big commercial stuff, right? That's how I tip my money. But I realized I had to take the time every week to work on my money.
Money management.
Yeah, money management, which I didn't do in the first year. I literally winged it because my bills were
So
still
when you say
getting paid.
wing, like you wasn't depositing money into the bank account, or you
I was
wasn't-
depositing money,
just wasn't
but I
balancing. You just
was depositing. I had a good at the bank. Look at it, it was a good cash flow, right?
sure.
But the expenses obviously was still a lot as well. Because like I say, I pay my bills, but some months I probably only broke even. The first year, I still only ended up, and my friend, me and my bestie still laugh at us. I ended up with like $750. And I was like, girl,
and profit.
this is not going to work. That's what I end my year with.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm looking at my bestie
I mean,
makeup.
first year ending up in the green or black is pretty good though.
Yeah.
Let me not say pretty good. It's not like most businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So you do more than break even. So that's good.
Yeah, I was still surviving because if I was working at BC, it would have been the same thing anyway. So that's why I wasn't like, okay, panicking too much. But I was like, this ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm.
I doing something I love, but I feel like it still could need to make more if I want to turn this into a good career for myself.
So how do
I
you?
also have people being like, Jessica, why you leave that good job? BC, the insurance so good.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know what it's like to work there.
So
And then be a creative.
So how do you cost everything out now? Like how did you break that down?
Well, I had to go down to the nitty gritty. Like if I buy in a 50-pound bag of flour, I need to know what 1 cup of that flour costs.
Mm-hmm.
I literally got that anal with everything. I needed to know how much money I'm making off of one cake with my labor.
How do you figure out the formula? What's the formula to how many?
I can't really say the formula. I have an Excel sheet.
Okay.
If that's to be like what I would do, okay. For instance, if
for like-
a vanilla
that's the
cake,
reason
I'll have
why
to
I
break
asked.
down the costing of the vanilla cake. Say, for instance, vanilla cake only costs so much money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd be like, I need to get paid this much an hour. It takes me, I'm extremely fast. That's the benefit of all this.
Okay.
If I want to get paid this much an hour, I price that out on, say, for instance, 8-inch vanilla cake.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to factor in gas, staff, electricity, all those little incidentals, and included in that one cake. I need the AC running all the time to decorate that one cake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Once I figure out just that one cake, an 8-inch cake serves 24 servings. That is the formula.
Was it always?
How much is one serving? And that's how I broke it down all across. So if it's a 3-tier cake,
Yep.
called 75 servings, depending on the complexity of that. And I had to figure out how long something takes me because sometimes I did underprice some wedding cakes because I'd be like, oh my goodness, that seems so simple until you're doing it. And I'd be like, this took me 10 hours.
No.
I think like when you get in an industry like this, you're gonna go through that. But you'd be like, you know what? I got you next time you bring that cake. If that cake come across me,
You know what?
someone put a cake in my chat. And they say something simple like this. I saw that cake and I remember that cake from, I did that same cake probably like 7-8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That cake was beautiful though, but it was a nightmare on my hands, on my wrists.
Because of the time.
All the piping I had to do.
Jeez.
And I had to paint all the piping gold. At the 8 years ago, I thought it was easy. Only paid this much for this. That's why they give me the money so fast, you know. You think they know?
They probably knew.
I think
Child, the price I gave that person for that cake, I'd be like, this will take me forever to do.
I think this is important to note because a lot of people, when they see creatives do work, they think it's easy. They don't see the amount of
And they think,
time
this
that
costs
exactly.
expensive. But
Exactly.
They know,
So they try to barter with your price because they don't know the time that goes into something. And I think it's pretty good for you to break down, well, this is how much flour costs,
No,
this is how
for
much
sure.
vanilla costs, this is how much a 6-inch cake. You know, I think that's important because people don't know the value of what something is and they try to lowball you. So I think a lot of people will gain a lot of insight when they watch this because it's like, okay, well, I respect the creativity, but I also, hopefully, but I also have to respect the time that it takes to put into making a cake because it's not easy.
Yeah. I want to introduce you to the Monroe Global app, the ultimate platform to empower your leadership journey and inspire your purpose-filled life. Access timeless teachings designed to help you grow in every area of your life. From leadership development to personal growth, Monroe Global has it all at your fingertips. With the Monroe Global app, you'll have exclusive access to powerful videos and messages from the legendary Dr. Myles Monroe, a digital library packed with life-changing content right at your fingertips, and a vibrant global community of visionaries, leaders, and change makers just like you. Whether you're at home, on the go, or in the office, the Monroe Global app ensures you never miss an opportunity to learn, grow, and lead. Available now on Google Play and the Apple App Store, the Monroe Global app is your gateway to unlocking your potential and impacting your world. Download the Monroe Global app today and take the first steps toward living the life you were born to lead. is your price the price?
My
Like,
price, the price?
yeah.
Yes.
How long has it been that way?
My price probably fluctuated again.
No, so when I say
Oh.
it's your price, the price. So like, if I come,
Oh,
to
how
you, like,
long
hey,
has it been that way?
I
It's
want you
been
to
pretty long. I'm not gonna
make this
lie.
cake for me. You give me a price. You'd be like, ooh, can I give me a little discount? Do a little do me a
It's been
favor.
like that for a little while.
Okay.
My price is my price. Let me tell you who I do give discounts. For like people who have just been loyal to me. I have people who have been with me from when I was in BEC. Sometimes I give them a free birthday cake. Okay? They'll always get a discount. I tell them just don't come ordering cake for all your friends and cousins and trying to get that same discount.
Oh man.
Those people know who they are and they can always come and they won't be at the same price as a regular customer for real. You just have to know those people to see if you could use their stripes.
were you always, so you have a new business, right? At the time. Would you have considered yourself business savvy? Like,
No.
I'm good at this. Like, I have this business. No.
I feel like I just got like that probably during COVID.
Wow.
That's something, eh?
Recently.
Yeah, I went through a lot of growth pains. You know, I had to really learn everything on my own. And I like had to really like every time I got good at something, it's hard, man. When I got really good at a certain thing, I'd be like, okay, it's now time for me to really work on this. Because you'll be surprised to see how much the creation process alone takes away from you. And sometimes you'll feel like, you know what, I'm well on my way to growing and be like, now I could really focus on the business aspect and just use my brain, which is my goal one day, is just to only use my brain. Because there was a time where I had 4 people alone, there's 4 of us working. But what ends up happening in the cake industry too is everybody want to be their own boss. A lot of people don't believe like, okay, maybe we could grow together. Everybody would be like, this is my business, my name on it. I think because we romanticize entrepreneurship so much, we worship it so much, and it makes people feel like you look so good because you're an entrepreneur. Like everybody just wants to be able to experience that.
And I think it's just being black though. Like, that's our culture. Like,
Maybe.
we never
I don't
wanna-
know, but
we
it's
don't
really
wanna work-
frustrating.
We don't want to work together. You know, we want to do stuff on our own because we want to be able to say like, yo, I did this, or look, what
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's not like, hey, we could help each other out so that we could advance in this business that we doing.
But I think like with my leadership style, I'm the type of leader where I would always give you that spotlight if that's something that you dream of. But you still have to get to that level deserving that spotlight. That's why I'm training and teaching you to be in the spotlight too, if that's what you really want.
But that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. But that has to be that has to be what they want though, because you could want to train and mentor and help people, but if they just looking to get ahead and maybe take advantage of you, then you could get the short end of the stick.
That's why you have to always ask God for clarity all the time.
For sure.
Yeah, but I definitely been through it. I had after you be like, okay, we have a team now, you can work on this, and then you end up losing some of the team, so you end up right back to a certain spot. And now you have to figure it out again. Mind you, I do plan on hiring again. It's just that I'm super careful and very picky this time when it comes to bringing someone back on Take-A-Bite again. There's already had 3 people who I was trying to teach with the cakes and stuff and work with me. But people also need to realize that working in a kitchen, whether it's cakes or food, it is not easy. You have to actually like it. Like, the cakes are beautiful, but trust me, if you was to look at that cake and then look at me, I look a mess. Okay? It is very hard.
That brings up a good question, right? So, because as an artist, right, how do you fall in love with the baking side of it? Because
I don't, because I pay someone to bake.
So you bake? Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
I can bake, I bake, it started with me baking. But if I honestly, I never loved the baking,
Sure.
It was important for it to taste good. I like the end. It's always the end product I love the most.
Sure.
But the process of it, I didn't really love. I will never say that I love baking. Now, if I was a corporate girly and I go in home on the weekend and I have a nice easy weekend, I'd be like, oh, let me bake some hot cross buns.
Sure.
Of course I would love that. because I don't have to sell it to anybody or please anybody with it.
Mm.
It's just relaxed, slow time.
Sure.
That's the difference
Got you,
with
got you.
loving baking.
That makes sense. So you also were baking
But that's
for
a
you.
job.
So yeah, that's a little key out there. So if you don't have something, if you have something that you have to do but you don't like to do, pay someone else to do it.
It's boom. You said it right. You said it
Pay
right.
someone else
Yes.
to do it, 100%. So through this process, have you ever doubted yourself? Like, has doubt ever creeped in? I'm sure it has. Like, how did you overcome those doubts? Self-doubt.
They have, I guess, my mind of this way of just getting out of doubt really quickly. I don't know. It's because like the moment I doubt myself, I'll have cha-ching on my phone too, and that kept me.
Okay.
Oh my man, as a comedian. I just sometimes I'll just pray about it and meditate, and then I have this way of just accepting things sometimes and just going with the flow of life. I know I'm doing everything what I'm supposed to do, but if God is trying to lead me somewhere else, I just don't force anything too much. I only do what I have to do, and that kind of helps with the doubt. It's inevitable to have those doubts, especially if you're trying to pay for a cruise trip. Okay, that means you have to make some money. So you can't fail.
Do you have I don't know if it's like each year, every couple of years, is there a goal in mind that, hey, here's the goal, like the financial goal that I
Yeah,
want to
definitely. I feel like, okay, after that year, we made $750 bottom line, right? Let's say the following year I ended with 5 figures. Every year after that, I ended with 5 figures. Consistently. Okay? That was always the goal.
5 figures.
Yeah.
Why
So
not,
to
why
the
not
point.
6? Why not 6?
I aiming for 6 one day, but it can't be off of just baking cakes.
Okay.
I have to be real.
Got you.
To make 6 figures, you have to go somewhat international, or you have to get into a market where you're actually helping other bakers, but not off of just making wedding cakes.
And you
Unless someone willing to pay $50,000 for a wedding cake, or that's getting the market where we making $10,000 wedding cakes. They do exist, but you also have to know what market you're in. If I went to Dubai, of course it'll be a 6-figure business.
Sure.
If you went to States, mind you, my business is still a 6-figure business, but in terms of sales,
and I got you.
right? Yeah. But you have to make like super 6 figures to get to a 6-figure profit.
Yep.
Are we really talking numbers now?
I got you.
But it's still a good business, though. You could survive.
And you comfortable?
Off of making cake.
Comfortable.
Define comfortable.
What you to see your definition of comfortable?
My definition of comfortable, yeah, I'm comfortable today.
Okay.
Like right now, this moment we talking, I'm comfortable.
Today.
Will I be comfortable tomorrow?
Gotta go to Greece.
I don't know. I'm gonna be comfortable tomorrow.
Got you.
Yeah, man. But
so
it's definitely amazing to see how it grew.
So I imagine you've baked, what do you call it? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of cakes? Hundreds of thousands?
Maybe.
Wow.
Have to be, man.
What's your most memorable cake that you made, or memorable client that you had?
The most memorable clients are the ones that stress me out the most, so I cannot call their name.
No,
so I think like the second
I don't want you to call names, but I want you,
client.
tell me about the experience.
I won't bring any bad experiences here. But you have some memorable clients. There are very few of them.
Sure.
But I honestly, I don't remember some of their names.
I know, but I wouldn't want you to call names. I just want you to call like what made it memorable for you. Like, was it the challenge? Was it like...
The cake or nothing wasn't challenging. Okay. I think what happened in that case was they had buyer's remorse in a way, because from the beginning they were bargaining me, and they were definitely a lesson that I learned too. I had to be able to identify who my clients are and who they weren't. So like even after that, like to this day, if you come to me bargaining me, or you're already telling me my cakes are too expensive, I will tell you respectfully. I don't say that. I mean, respectfully, I cannot make your cake. I'm so sorry. I cannot make it. I can refer you to at least 10 other wonderful bakers who probably can accommodate you. See, good customer service, right?
Wait a
Because we
second.
are not going to stress each other out.
Yeah.
So that Lord, remember, this bride. She was bargaining from the beginning. She wanted like a 5-tier cake for only $900. And at that time, I already knew how to price my stuff. Okay, and you're telling me the cake is simple, but I offered you, I'd be like, this is what you can get for $900. All right?
She didn't want that.
Did the cake, right? We have stuff in our contract. I already had contracts made up and everything. You cannot come to me a month later demanding a refund because you said the cake was all burnt up. I baked that cake and that cake was not burnt.
A month after you delivered
Yes.
the cake?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Man. So you don't have any
And then
So
then everybody was like, "Where are the pictures of the burnt cake? It's so strange. Like it was a burnt cake, and there are no pictures of it." I think she's probably still talking about me to this day. If I can recall, that was a very long time ago. Very long time ago.
So would you consider
I couldn't even believe
that's a
how my fellow customers they came and they was like just defending that. That was amazing. I was like, wow.
you consider
That
that
gave me plenty hope that they're doing something right.
and that's a
my
memorable
customer.
experience?
That was so memorable.
But so what would be like one of the worst experience you had with Take-A-Bite?
That probably was the worst.
So that's the worst. So
Yeah.
So on the other spectrum, what's the other end of the spectrum? What would be like? I want something like positive. Like, hey,
Of
this.
course, I thought you wanted the worst.
I know I wanted both, but I wanted to start with something that was.
Oh my gosh, I have
positive
so
and
much good. I have so much good. That's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still here today.
Fair.
Because of my amazing customers. I have some really, really good customers, boy. One of the most amazing experiences.
And why? What made it amazing for you? Like a great experience for you?
Can I just speak in general?
Yeah.
Because this is the same experience. Like you could tell if I could get the same type of response today, and it'll literally light up my day and probably the rest of the week. When, like, this, like, I want people to know, like, I never take it for granted when they actually take time out of their day to call me and speak with me to tell me
How good the cake was.
how good I made their day because of their cake and how wonderful it is, and they really expressing all of that to me because nobody does that anymore. They just go about the day because Take-A-Bite already have like mostly a good name, and they already coming to me expecting a lot.
Yep.
They don't come back to you or even give feedback. Sometimes I'll ask for feedback and they don't give it because they'll just probably recommend me to someone else, or they'll come back for another order.
That might be the
which
way
is
of
good as well.
saying,
And you
hey,
have
this
some
good.
people, they really take time. I'm just saying that's like a really good experience for me.
So y'all hear that? If Jessica makes a cake for y'all and y'all love the cake, just call her up. Say, hey, this
Not all my time, guys.
you didn't accept. Be careful what you ask for, because it just might happen. Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
Jessica,
man.
let me express our gratitude to you for making most of our cakes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, all of them
Yeah, all of them
recently,
so far, yeah.
especially our wedding cake. Like, people still ask. Well, this is a funny story. My sister just threw away earlier this year a piece of my wedding cake that was still in my mother's fridge.
Oh, no.
She was saving it, and we got married 2 years ago. So that should tell you how much she loved the cake. Everyone loved the cake. Everyone we cut it up that day, and everyone was taking cake home. So it was really delicious, and you
So
are
that's-
a choice.
That's our
for
way of
cakes.
calling you and saying,
Yes.
hey, the
I
cake,
love
the cake
going
is good.
with families. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a really, I like, that's such a big deal for me. I'd be like, am I going to be the old one one day who just calling for cake, and now I'm doing like a daughter's wedding cake? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I going to be that person?
That'd be
Stay
dope.
tuned.
That'd be dope.
You know?
That would be dope.
But I definitely grew with like so many families from when they were dating. And I was like, I tell the girl, I was like, buy a man a Take-A-Bite cake. I guarantee you he's going to propose to you this year. Y'all hear that?
That's what you tell her?
Yeah, now all my brides who that happened to, like, please agree with me on that.
See,
No, it seriously happened though.
You think it was the cake?
Yeah.
It was the cake.
Combined with God's promises to our life. You know?
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, I definitely have, and I even went to one of the brides' weddings, and I know she still remember me from saying that.
Oh,
I said, girl, he buy them these cakes. He gonna propose to you as a good woman, girl. Yeah.
all right. Well,
And
that's good, man. So,
marriage,
but you didn't just stop.
christening,
You
huh?
didn't just stop at baking, right?
No.
Uh, you decided to expand. So you talk about wanting to get to that 6-figure mark. It takes more than just baking cakes.
Yeah.
So you're working towards that,
Hopefully.
right? You started your Take-A-Bite Academy.
Yes.
You didn't know
So
that's where I was going. You look shocked when they said that.
no, yes. So I definitely over the years, I have grown an extreme love for baking. I mean, for teaching. So teaching really started during COVID because wedding cakes were done. So you still had to find a way to make some income. And then and at the same time, people were looking for something to do where they can also make money, I guess, or / hobby
Sure.
during the downtime. So I taught a lot of classes during COVID.
And it was virtual at the time, I assume.
Some of them came to me one.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a group.
Okay.
Yeah, because they did teach 1 or 2 groups before
What sparked it
COVID.
though? Because like, did you just was sitting down and be like, you know what, I could teach this, or I like to teach? How did you know you love
It
to
was
teach?
knowing that there was a need because people kept asking for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So last year was probably the most extensive classes that I've taught because it was a group of 6 persons. And I was teaching something so complex. So I was still a little nervous about that. And I can't explain the feeling I had even after that. Like that there's the next level of fulfillment after teaching that class. And I was like, you know what? I have to do it even better next time.
Sure.
So that's what I'm working on right now. Doing a phase of classes from beginner level all the way to advanced, where persons can come from beginner to advanced or just do the advanced, do the intermediate, whatever they choose. So hopefully that's something that I could take bigger and bigger into the future, to the point where I have a place where I have multiple ovens, multiple coolers, and possibly even an incubator for bakers. Because BTVI don't offer culinary or baking, but they only have like the basics,
Sure.
like super basic, and that's it. But nobody really teaches cake artistry. Yeah, and hopefully take that online too.
Yeah,
know?
makes sense.
So Jess, you speak about teaching, but I don't think you covered how you learned, because I know you started saying that your cupcakes, they were kind of ugly. So how did you use your love of art and how you knew how to draw fine art? How did you learn how to do these fabulous designs?
Well, just like how you have to go through some stuff that you don't like to get where you have to be. So the type of person I am, when I'm learning something new, I kind of get obsessed with it because I need to be able to do it. Because I always look at, say for instance, I wanted to do photography, right? Now, if you try to talk to me about any of these cameras, I'll probably drop dead asleep right now. But say, you know what, I want to do this. Let me teach myself this and go through all the terms and all the stuff I need to do. And, hey, let me call Scott House Media or whoever teach me a little lesson. I'd be like, hey, can you mentor me or give me a few tips if you don't mind? And I'll let you take me through some courses. You charge for it? And I'd be like, let me take them. Camera to me still look a little boring. But I know when they put out this podcast, it look beautiful. So that's my goal, to get to that end product of what they would see on the screen of their phones or YouTube or even on the TV, the quality that's behind it. So, and when I get to that point, I might not know the terms anymore, but I kind of know what I'm doing.
Sure.
So it's like the same thing with baking. I had to learn how to bake, and I had to learn how to find the sturdiest cake that could hold up on a 4-tier cake. Because not all cakes could do that. I had to find the perfect buttercream that could handle that stability. All boring to me, but I had to learn it. And then after I learned those processes, Now it's time for me to teach that to other people. Do I like it? Probably not. The art came easy. Once I learned,
The art of creation,
came
the
easy.
design of
Yeah,
the cake.
because I always, if I have to, I draw out all my cakes.
Sure.
I like to, did you
Yeah,
draw your
yes, you
cake?
did. And very
Once I
like,
put it on
in
paper,
2 minutes.
yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Because that's what I love.
Yeah.
The creation of it. Like if cake artists is going to be a day who have problems designing cake, then they'd be like, if you send your brides to me, and that's fine. If you want to make the cake, that's fine. But if you need help with designing the cake, I could do the design
You
for
just-
It's a
you.
business aspect.
That's true. That's another
Yeah.
consultancy. You just sparked 2 questions. So one, have you ever
So
designed?
she asked a really good question. I want
No,
to
sorry,
answer
go ahead.
something to her too, but she did with the students. So with my student, my last class, I made them do a certain cake. But this is what I do in my super intensive class. I have, which is a one-on-one wedding cake intensive, right? I actually challenge a student to create their own cake. I be like, this is the first session now. I'm going to show you how I approach the designing cakes. Because I always feel like you need to have some sort of creativity in you if you want to succeed in a business like this.
Sure.
You cannot come and just be like, I just bake cake, put dough fondant and on it, and boom, I'm a designer.
One flower.
What gives you that edge is you being an artist or having, even if you don't know how to draw a face, that's fine. But you have to learn how to find that creativity and put stuff together. You could have your own style too. It don't have to look exactly like mine.
Sure.
Right? That's how you get your edge. And I'll make them draw out a design. I'd be like, okay, go on Pinterest tonight, pick out certain textures, colors, all of that. That's your homework. And we're going to design a cake. And now it's up to me to guide you on how we could bring that design to life using different textures and stuff.
Okay.
That's the challenge that I give students. And so it's almost like I already thrown them to a fire pit. So
I was thinking
They
about
could
taking
kinda
that
learn it.
class, but
You creative though. You might like it.
yeah, but I like boring.
You like easy. You like
I do.
boring.
come for the boring cake class then.
Yeah, I need
Yeah. Boring cake class. That cake's really boring.
Well, see, my aunt was a baker, and so I
Nice.
used to help her, and I'm like,
Cool. So you have some sort of history
Yeah, she
still
got a little bit of
in the
skill.
kitchen.
dude,
Yeah, you got a little sweat in, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So you brought up. Well, now I have 3 questions just off of what you were saying just now.
Okay.
The first is, how do you come up with your designs? Right? Because I'm the amount of cakes that you've made over the years, I sure you don't like to be redundant and do the same cakes over and over, right? So like how are you creative enough to be new and innovative like as you approach each request for cakes?
Customers like you and your lovely wife. The more of y'all I have, the better. But it does become redundant. And I remember speaking to one of my fellow creatives who also in the wedding industry, and they had to remind me, like, Jessica, that's still paying the bills. So sometimes you have to do the boring stuff over and over and over again.
Yep.
Because in the tourist industry especially, they love to order the same thing over and over and over again.
Yep.
White rustic cake, seashells, orchids. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it every single week. I don't even post pictures of it.
Yeah.
Because I did 4 weddings this weekend, and mostly all of them was the same thing.
Oh wow.
Okay? It gets very boring until one customer be like, Jessica, I want you to do your thing on this. I'd be like, okay. And especially if it's like more of a wedding. Now, if it's just a $150 cake,
Yeah. You ain't
I
put
can't really
too
spend
much
that much time on it.
True.
Yeah, but like with the wedding cakes and stuff, I gladly sketch out a cake quickly. The next question was how I come up with the designs.
No, that was the first question.
Oh, that was
I ain't say the second question yet. The second question is, have you ever designed a cake, right? Like visually designed a cake, or like sketch the cake, and then you get to the process of making that cake, and then you're like, I can't do this cake. This too sophisticated. I gotta change. You've always been able to make what you design.
I have designed cakes, and I'd be like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do this, and I end up figuring it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
always. I always tell my friends, they'd be like, Jessica, you sure you'll be able to handle all this weekend? And I'd be like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
These people already paid me. I have to figure it out.
So you've never not been able to complete a cake that you designed like for a customer. Okay, that's dope.
The most challenging one I had with that, but I was like, I have to figure it out, is it was a pirate ship cake. and it was 4 tiers, right? And it had like these waves on it, these blue waves, an octopus, a pirate ship, a little pirate ship, but I had to make out of Rice Krispie treats. And I was like, this design is so beautiful. The composition is like amazing. This is a piece of art. And I had to figure out how to make those waves.
Wow.
Edible waves.
Wow. Okay.
And I gotta send you a picture of that cake.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
So you can see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's
I'd
like one
love
of my
to see it.
best cakes ever. I was like, I need more cakes on that. I love that
So
cake
that's
so
the
much.
question where I asked you what was the most what I asked you?
You said experience.
I guess. All right.
That was a stressful experience.
But
That was so
don't-
stressful.
Yeah, but the end result was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is nice.
That I was impressed with myself. I was like, I really did it.
So the last question in this segment is: have you ever either created a cake or in the process of creating a cake, and you messed the cake up and had to start over?
No.
No, never.
No. And but so weird, right? I always tripping. I'm very klutzy, but I never would drop a cake
Wow.
or like completely ruin it. If that's your question.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's it.
so
I was
amazing to me.
expecting you to
Especially
say
I've
no.
been doing it,
Yeah.
for over 10 years.
Yeah.
You know?
That's impressive.
The most mess ups I've done was I would give customers the wrong flavor. Like I have so much cakes and I
mix it up.
mixed up a cake
Sure.
because all of them are now frosted, and I'd be like, "Where's the label for this cake? I don't know what this is." And then the customer would be like, "Jessica, this is supposed to be a chocolate cake. You gave me salted caramel," and they'd be like, "Oh my god, that means I gave the next customer."
Wow.
That's mess up.
So that's the one. That's your level of mess up that you.
But that rarely happens.
Gotcha.
That happened probably like twice, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were very forgiving customers. Damage control is so important.
No, absolutely.
And for that, I just had to make them their salted
Copy.
caramel cake and vice versa. I just ended up getting 2 cakes.
Okay. So, going back to our discussion about the academy, I think this is a great idea for you. I must say that I saw you post. I'm not sure which class this was, but it was a class, and they were making like
The sugar flowers?
yes, the flowers. The end of the class, like you posted a display of like how the class went and whatever. But your expression I could tell like you love to teach and you enjoyed yourself.
If I could do that for the rest of my life, I would.
So
Yeah.
is this like one of the things where you see yourself maybe taking a step back from actually being in the kitchen creating and doing more teaching?
Yeah, I feel like if it can grow big enough, then I'll definitely take a step back from it, and I'll only come out for like my OGs.
You think there's a high demand for people that want to learn?
Not yet, but it is growing.
Okay.
Because when I first started, there were only like probably 3 persons at the time who really was running the wedding industry. Now we have 1 million bakers. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be 38 now. So you have like now the new 20-some-year-olds getting into it and just learning the ropes, and now they have to go through those growing pains, and a lot of people are still self-taught. So if they can come, the serious ones who want to come to a class and really be like, okay, I see a future in this, but I really need to harness my talents and also learn how to make profit off of this. That's where you need to start getting educated.
Sure.
And take it seriously. And now you have people who can teach that, because I wish I had someone like me back in the day
Sure.
to teach me, because now you're skipping a lot of steps.
Yep.
Yeah.
And learning from other
But you
people's
wouldn't,
mistakes.
yeah.
Yep. No,
And
got you.
because like my students, and I'll always just say this, right? I'm like, Father, you put me through so much this year. Everything you could possibly go through in a business, I think I already went through. All right? Every single thing. Where you think you have it all together, and then boom, something else will happen, and it'll be something brand new. And now you have to figure out how to deal with it.
Yep.
So anything my students come to me, I can troubleshoot anything,
Sure, 'cause you
because
experienced it.
everything already happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's especially working in a hot country. It is definitely different. So certain things you learn on YouTube don't work in the Bahamas.
Because of the heat.
Yeah, and in a different climate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So has teaching changed your perspective on like the industry here in the Bahamas? From the sense of like, do you see it advancing and becoming more collaborative, or like do you see it still being everyone for themselves type of industry here in the Bahamas?
I still see, so far, I still see everybody for themselves, which is fine right now. And hopefully, there'll be so much where hopefully people will collaborate. Because I think we are still in a phase now, people are still testing out the waters to see if it's something they want to do,
Yep.
or they're going to fall back to corporate because they don't really love it. Because in a world like this, it still is survival of the fittest.
Yep.
You really need to be fit to do this for a long time. And I say fit,
And you
like
gotta love
really
it too,
gotta
though.
love it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by
Yeah,
fit.
yeah.
Like if you don't love this, you
You
don't
get burned out quick. Yeah.
You'll get burned out so quick.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, you'll be like, I take a year off, and then you realize, you know what? I don't even think I like that. It was too rushy. It's just too much anxiety at the
100%.
roof.
Yeah.
It's a very fast-paced environment, especially if you on that. I gotta make money this month, then you will be working nonstop. Like when I say money, I mean like if you want to make money,
Yeah.
you gotta work hard for that money. This is not like a big finance position.
got you.
They working their brain hard,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not in this industry. You working your body hard,
Yeah.
like super hard. Your brain would be okay still, but your body gonna be like wow.
So when it comes to, because all of the, I guess, creatives, cake artists in the industry, you say is a million artists, maybe more.
It might only be 200.
I mean, whatever. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. What do you think sets Take-A-Bite apart? What's your
I
what's
think
your unique gift, or the unique value that you bring?
I don't want to say too much because I don't really follow other cake artists. If I follow any, it'll be like to compare.
No, but so it's not a
Okay.
comparative question.
Okay.
I just want you to talk
Because I
about.
believe in everybody.
Oh my goodness.
My students know that too.
That's
I believe in all of them.
I like that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are a community at the end of the day.
But I'm sure
And
there's
healthy competition.
there's a difference. At least there's a differentiator that
I
you think
feel
you
like I
bring.
still differentiate. I just don't want to sound pretentious.
Yeah,
I think
sound
it's the
pretentious.
creativity.
It's the creativity and how I present my work.
No one could design cake and
The way I
just spread
market
it.
my
Yeah.
brand. I think it's still so different and have such a more luxe feel to it. It's almost like, I don't want to say that. No. Like I said, when I look at my work, I see luxury. Because from a customer standpoint, you only see what's on the screen in front of you.
Sure.
So it's always very careful with how I presented my work at the end of the day. So for instance, you would rarely see a phone picture on Take-A-Bite feed. Like I really
Professional pictures. only.
take good pictures of my work because that's how I value my work
Sure.
too.
Sure.
Because my hands are very valuable. That goes into the work. And like I said, I am a painter at the end of the day. I feel like I could bring designs out what other people probably can't process too well. Like how we could design a cake in 2 seconds. I haven't come across someone who can do the same thing yet. And which is fine. People know me for that. Now, if you want a wall white cake with 1,000,000 flowers on it, plenty of people you could do for that. I think a lot of people could do that well. But if you go into a well-curated design, specific to a certain theme, then I am definitely the person to come to because I will be able to bring that vision to life. No, it's
I
super
tell you,
confident
when
about
we,
that.
when we came for the consultation about the wedding cake and just the speed, how you drew the design, just off of us, like kind of giving you an idea of like, well, Sharice giving you an idea of what she was thinking for the cake. And you did it literally in a matter of minutes and with coloring and everything. Like, so you could tell that I think that separates you. I think you should be proud to say that, you know, like my creativity, my artistry that I bring.
I'm more sure of myself.
Yeah.
I could look at another cake and I'd be like, this person wasn't too sure of
Yeah.
themselves when they came to this design.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when it comes to their placement of stuff on the cake, I'd be like, they didn't really take a step back and edit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You want to say something?
same thing with different
I
photographers.
was just gonna add that it was the actual process of. It felt like an experience. It wasn't like you was just getting a cake, because I've never been to a cake artist and seen the sketch come to life before the cake. So it's like, I'm sure that I'm gonna get the cake I want because I can see it. And then I think too, it was crazy because it was like, I know how much people this cake could feed, because you did the whole, well, this layer can feed this many people and this. And so it was like a feeling of surety, like I know I'm getting exactly what I want, and this is going to fulfill whatever, purpose I need it for.
Yeah. So
you can't say professional. Like, I'm not guessing anymore. That's basically what I want to say. Like, I am at a point I don't guess my work now, and I think only a few of us have that in us.
Yep.
Yeah, that level of confidence. You have a lot of people who's still learning. So
how did you build that confidence? Was it just experience and time?
Experience and time.
Okay.
Experience and time, and going through everything in the book, like I said.
Sure.
Yeah, like, and learning how to solve those problems
On the fly.
over and over again.
Yeah.
So when those problems come, when they come again, because you realize, okay, this is something that could possibly happen, you already know how to deal with it. And then when you already know how to deal with certain things, like you're not caught
Off guard.
right? Yeah, caught off guard, then it definitely gives you a different level of confidence. Like, I could even read my couples and the vibe they probably like, and I know what questions to ask them to try get down to a certain design. And like I said, the ability to be able to give that visual gives me a lot of confidence as well, because I don't want anybody guessing.
Yes. Yep.
Like, and I don't want to show up to a wedding with a wedding cake based off things that you told me or you showed me without finalizing a design. Because when I leave that reception area, the only thing I want is, okay, this is what I wanted. And both of us are now happy.
Do you feel like there's more to life than what you're experiencing? That deep down, you're meant for something greater? It's time to stop wondering and start discovering. At the Monroe Institute of Leadership, we believe every person carries a unique purpose, a calling designed specifically for you. Our transformative courses, Discover Purpose and Unlock Your Potential, are crafted to help you uncover that purpose and equip you with the tools to step confidently into your destiny. These powerful courses are for leaders, entrepreneurs, students, and visionaries like you. Through proven principles and actionable insights, you will clarify your vision and set bold goals. You will identify your strengths and passions. You will overcome the barriers holding you back, and you will step boldly into your God-given potential. Our expert facilitators draw from timeless and tested principles, blending practical strategies with kingdom truths to empower you to lead a life of purpose, impact, and transformation. The world needs what you have to offer. Don't let another day pass without unlocking the greatness within you. Visit our website, themill.org, and register today. The Monroe Institute of Leadership. Renew your mind and transform a generation. What would be your advice to someone who may want to get in the creative or cake artist industry, but any industry, like they just want to do something in life, right? What would be your advice to like a young entrepreneur who's thinking about like starting a business or doing something on the side with their current 9-to-5? Think of yourself like 17, 18, 19 years of age. Like what would you advise? What would be your advice to them?
I'm thinking about my kids.
Yeah, that too.
Say if I give advice to my daughter, if you work in a 9-to-5 and you want to take on a side hustle, if I was to do it over again, anyway, I'd say since I loved my job at the time, I would have definitely tried to find a balance
to do both.
That's what I would do. Say, for instance, I'm just going to put it in context.
Mm-hmm.
If I was still working at BEC and I loved working there and I had my cake, I wouldn't try to take every cake out there because of the dollar value of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, you know what? I am going to take a night of the week and dedicate 2-3 hours to learning in a week. And I'm only going to take on cakes worth $500 or more
Okay.
for the weekend. That way I wouldn't burn myself out. And I'm making maximum profit one time off of like only 2 events as opposed to taking on 10 events. That's what I would do if I wanted to hold on to my job. Now, if you're a person where you work in a 9 to 5, you're like, I really want to do this in the future. This is something I see myself doing forever because, like I said, cake artistry is still really hard. Like a lot of people won't be able to do it past. I don't think they'll be able to do it past 5 years because I can tell you, like, I've seen people who make cakes come up and go down, come up and go down. It's always like a season for them, and it is hard. I still respect it. I'd be like, you have to have a plan first, build up your clients first before you walk away from your job. Really study the market, make sure it's a real need. If you have a specialty item, you go and say, for instance, you only do specifically hard cakes, and that's your passion. Just really perfect that and be known for that person. I'm just talking about like how I would do it if I wanted to win in a market, because now you come in a market where there's already a lot of cake, oversaturated, right? Specialize in something and be like, okay, no one can beat me at this. Like, for instance, I don't really think people could really beat me at the artsy part of my cakes. Like how they look like real pieces of art. Mind you, if the next person come up, I'm ready and I will be admiring you. Because it will happen. Right? But I haven't noticed it yet because it will come across by now and I wouldn't feel threatened or whatever. I'd just be admiring. I'll be like, about time. Because now what'll happen is you'll make the market better too and the competition even be better. And then what end up happening, I'm sorry, I'm rambling now.
No, go ahead,
I was talking about how I see the industry going. When you have other really good cake artists, the industry will automatically get better.
100%.
Because now people will be placing value on better looking work. They wouldn't look at a cake and be like, that is fantabulous, where 90% of us can see that a cake is about to fall to the ground. Okay? I mean, that's just psychology. If you have a popular person who's very, like, a huge influence and they get a crooked cake, all of a sudden that becomes the trend. I've seen it time and time again. Yes, you have that high influential person get a really nice piece of art. Now that becomes the trend. People want a piece of art. So that's why I say the more good cake artists we have out here, the better industry you'll get. So that's why I'd say, like, that's what I would do. You have to perfect your work. So when you come out on the scene, you're ready, the talk of the town. Because you're not falling into the pool of subpar cake artists, I guess, who just doing the basics just to be like, okay, this would make me a living, this is what I could do, and that's all I'm going to offer. I'm not going to advance more than this. And I know that sounds biased, but it's because I'm an artist, and I feel like if you're going to come into this field, you have to really come good one time.
But I think that's any industry you get in, right? If you want to get into an industry, be the best at it. Be the best at whatever it is that you do. Like find something to separate yourself. I like where you said if you want to do hard cakes, perfect doing hard cakes. Don't do anything else but hard cakes. And I think that's great advice.
That's how I would do it. That's why, like, when I first came out, I think I did it the right way too. When I first left BC, I only really did wedding cakes. And then when COVID hit, that was the most birthday cakes I've ever done. And so now we have a good mix of wedding and birthday cakes, but it still feel more on the custom end. To some customers, it still feel like an investment when they come to me, like they only come to me for their 30th or 40th birthday. Fair. But that's what it ended up turning into. So the moment I guess my name called in the room, sometimes they be like, "Oh, she's too expensive. I can't get her. I have to get a Jonathan Brothers cake this year. So maybe next year I'll get it because it's my 40th birthday.
I think
So that's the brand
that's a good rep.
that I
though.
have right now. Yeah,
You like you like that?
I love it
Okay.
because what end up happening, you end up having less disappointment
Sure,
too.
sure.
Because sometimes people do not want to spend that money.
Sure.
And that's fine.
Sure. And you,
Yeah.
you create a certain value for you. Nah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about two more things. So
Okay.
finances. So I don't want to get too much into the business. You kind of alluded to it earlier. But how profitable, how much, I don't want to say how much, don't tell me how much, right? But from a
I'm
revenue,
giving the people that all that information.
from a revenue generation standpoint, right?
I'm not rich, okay? I'm not rich. Leave it there.
Okay. I mean, rich is relative, but
I'm rich in life.
there you go.
I have 2 healthy kids. I have a home to live in. Like, I'm pretty comfortable. My AC works. Those things are very
You
important.
need that.
But in terms of finances, what was the question?
Just like and again, I'm thinking from someone who is looking at you and want to do either what you're doing or get into an entrepreneurial space.
Oh, I have the perfect advice for that. Deposit all your money.
Create a credit history.
Yes. Because I know some entrepreneurs, they will hold on to that cash till that kingdom come.
Yeah.
And that cash is nothing for you
Yeah.
unless you invest that in something.
Yeah.
So cash flow, banks love it. You can be an entrepreneur and still go to the bank and get something, but you gotta have a lot of history.
Yep.
That's the only thing with being an entrepreneur. Because, for instance, in order to get a mortgage, I had to show 4 years worth of cash flow. That's a lot compared to if I was working for government.
3 months salary.
Yeah, 3 months salary. Even
Sure,
if
better.
my net is only $1,500, I'll be able to get a mortgage before an entrepreneur who deposited in $8,000 to $10,000 a month.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
Yep.
So I always say every dollar you make, put in the bank. If you already got some of your investments, because I do have a mortgage now, and even along with that, I was able to get my little bus broke down on me. I had no choice because I would have still been riding that bus. People know about the bus.
Yeah.
My little 4-cylinder bus. After that, well, before I already had invested in my endowment because I'm also looking at my future in terms of retirement and all that type of stuff. So I thought that was very important at the time. And I wish I also did that from when I was 20, but I didn't start it until I left BEC. Because now I had to think about, okay, retirement savings, all that type of stuff. But I must say I got more discipline with my money after I left government. Because with government, I knew that paycheck was always coming in. I was like, am I even making any money?
Just spend it. I guess that's all.
I don't know, but what was that about? But that was the blessing in this. It's because I knew I had to survive.
Sure.
I had to learn how to deal with my finances. That's what forced me
Yep.
to deal with my finances. And contact Q at RF Bank and Trust.
Uh-oh.
Q, you gotta pay me for that. He really educated me a lot on investments and how important they are in terms of money just sitting on your bank account as opposed to be invested in stocks and bonds and equity funds and all that type of stuff.
Sure.
So I would advise entrepreneurs also get educated in that. Like I said, all this is stuff that I wish I knew in my 20s. I wish I was better educated in that. Because at this age right now, I probably would have been almost retiring. If I had started from when I was 20, because I remember I was working from when I was 17.
Sure.
If I had started with that same BEC salary, that salary reduction could have been going towards an investment account.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But we are taught, I can tell you one thing I had in BEC, I had 5 different insurance policies. Okay?
Oh, man.
So it's like all on the wrong things.
Yeah, products. Yep.
So education with finances is so important. That's what I'm going to teach my kids now anyway.
No,
But as an entrepreneur, invest your money. When you make profit, no. Now, unless you're making so much profit, you already have all those investments in check. You already have your property, which is also an investment. Then you could be like, now it's time for me to play. Now I could buy the
Toys.
super expensive stuff that I always wanted, because there's nothing wrong with that either. But then if it's only a want, sometimes you have to like not be able, because now I'm just going to Greece this year after being in, I'm taking my daughter. I think that's the biggest blessing, being able to take my daughter with me.
Sure.
After so many years, it's because I be like, okay, I have to accomplish certain things first before I go spending money on a trip.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, you sound like you manage money well. So, I don't think.
I think I'm okay. I'm still learning, because some things also happen in my life too. And then you have to be like, okay, how do you handle these curveballs?
the challenges.
And just be able to get back up from it too.
Yep.
So it wasn't always like, oh my goodness, I have such a big cash flow or whatever. You still hit some spots in your life where you're like, damn, all right,
Yeah.
I have to create a new product, or I have to make plenty of money Valentine's Day, have a big sale. That's what makes me drive to and gets me motivated, is if I know I have to accomplish something, or I have to come back from something. It helps me work more too. Mind you, I am not overpricing, because I don't want people to mix that up. It's just that I have to work extra hard, or even come up with something new and trendy that can sell more in that moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That works. Final question. And I ask all my guests who come on the pod this question. How do you define success?
Well, if you had asked me that 5 years ago, I would say success is maintaining $200,000 on a bank account.
Specific.
Yes. Yes. Success is being able, this me a couple years ago now. Success is being able to take an entire year off and pay yourself, because 5 years ago, that was my goal.
Sure.
Okay? To have so much money, which I was at, and be like, I'm going to take an entire year off and just rest. God laughed at me. Okay? That did not happen like that. So fast forward now, today, success is almost crying, seeing my daughter walk towards her award ceremony. Success is taking them to the doctor for a visit, and the doctor coming back to me and be like, these are some nice, healthy, growing kids. Success is their brains working properly, and them just being a big blessing to me. And if I'm having a sad moment, they are my comfort. I don't ask for it. They know I need it, because they're the most amazing kids ever.
Sure.
Success is being able to pay my mortgage on time and not having to be stressed out about it, and be able to be creative and do what I want to do with my time to be able to pay my bills. That's success. You know, success is me being healthy and sitting here in front of you today to have this conversation.
So you're going from 200 to just
Yeah.
being
So I'd be like,
happy with life and,
Yeah.
health and all of that good stuff.
yeah,
Nah, I
like
agree.
success is just being at peace.
100%. Yeah.
Because it's easy to still have that if we go about it certain ways, But at the same time, will you be at your happiest and peaceful? So you have to like not true success is probably being able to still go back to that goal, because there's nothing wrong with that
No,
goal.
sure.
It's still being able to go back to that, but being able to maintain that peace and happiness at the same time. And that's like ultimate final boss success.
Yeah.
Right? But right now, success is just appreciating, being grateful
Sure.
for what I have now.
Where you are.
Yeah, and being ready to accept what's to come, and not complaining about what I don't have.
Nah, that's dope.
Yeah, it took growth.
As always,
get
all of
there.
us have, different definitions of success
I
based
love
on
it.
where we are in life.
Because you could listen to motivation speakers all the time, right? And you're like, what in the world is this guy we're talking about, or whatever. But then I feel like when you mature, you get older, you go through some things
Sure.
in life, then you're like, babe, I just lost my friend, last year. I wasn't ready for her to go, She's a baker just like me. And babe, life's so fragile.
Yeah, it is.
And I had multiple people where it was supposed to die, but then that one for sure. That along with other events in my life kind of woke me up a bit. So you have to be really grateful for what you have.
No, for sure. For sure. Yeah. All right, Jess. Well, man, thank you for joining the pod. Really appreciate your story. I love talking to fellow entrepreneurs. I like to hear like the good times, the challenges, the successes, the failures, like all of that. I think it's necessary for success, right? It's all a part of the journey. And I thank you for sharing that with us today.
Yeah, this is fun.
So I want you to give your contact, someone that may want a cake, may want to come to the class, or may just want to check out, your business. How could they get in contact with you?
Okay, very simple. Take-A-Bite-Bahamas.com. That's my website. I have everything you need on it. How to get in contact with me if you want to speak to me, if you want to check out the classes. We have a tab just for classes alone if you're interested in that. And if you want to order some birthday cakes, we have an online store there where you can quickly order a cake, or you just place an inquiry. If you have a wedding or a big event coming up which you need a custom cake for. Small events as well, if you need something super custom.
Good? Okay.
Yeah, because everything is on Take-A-Bite.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
everything.
All right. So follow all of her pages. Check Jess out. Like Cherie said, she has been making cakes for us for, say, the past 5-6 years. I haven't had a bad experience yet. I need to try this coffee.
Question. And you came for a cake for Sharice before?
Yeah.
Before you got married, right?
Yeah.
And they
That's why
are
I tell
now
you for a
married.
long time.
This is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we've been patronizing from time.
Okay.
I still need to try this coffee flavored cake though. Coffee is is one.
Whenever you're ready, because I got that.
And
You could do the chocolate soaked in coffee liqueur. You got espresso, buttercream if you want to. That's actually really good. But it's not on the menu because not enough people.
and that's why I say I didn't know about it because I didn't see it.
I
on
used
your
to.
menu and
That was
stuff.
on the
I
menu
got you.
before.
Yeah,
It was on the
okay.
menu before.
So that's on my to-do list for before the summer's finished. I get me a coffee, some type of coffee flavored cake from Take-A-Bite Bahamas. Good look out for that. But nah, so we get to the show. Part of the show I want to leave with you a milestone. Milestone today is very simple. Success is layered with hard work, vision, and faith, right? The duty is for you to put that work in. The hard times, the challenges, the failures, everything that we go through, it's a part of the process. But stay dedicated, stay in the kitchen, stay creating, stay focused, and success will be your outcome. All right. So Jess, thanks again for joining this pod. This was good. I love these type of conversations. Baby, you want to say something? I wish you success in all that you're doing. I love this idea of Take-A-Bite Academy. I think it's a good addition to what it is your brand is doing. If you need encouragement in like going head on in that, like I think that's a great avenue to take.
Thank you.
I think that alone would separate you apart from others in the industry, because you're not only catering to persons that want to buy your products. You're catering to persons who also want to like gain success in the industry as well.
Right.
And that's sort of paying it forward, right? Leaving your mark in
Right.
different ways. So I encourage you with that.
I also want to encourage you to know that you have such a bigger market than just the Bahamas, because there are so many people around the world who have learned online. There's master classes. I've bought a bread baking class.
Yeah.
I still ain't do it
That's
yet.
what- so-
But exactly. So that is a market that I think you definitely should tap into, because with the advances in technology,
Yep.
you can take a bite
Yeah,
around
the
the world.
possibility is there for sure. Yeah.
Thanks for believing in me, guys.
No, for sure.
That's definitely the direction I want to go in.
No, sounds
Yeah.
good. Sounds good. Well, it brings us to the end of this pod. I want to thank Jess once again for joining. Really great conversation. Might want to have you on again, man. I think there's a lot more that we could cover or could have covered that we didn't cover. I think it makes for a great conversation.
Okay.
All right. But as always, the vision and goal of this podcast is to entertain, educate, and elevate you miles high above your fears, your doubts, and any limitations that you may think exist. Always knowing that those limitations only exist in your mind. All right. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.